Our speaker tonight is Mr. Dave Ziebarth, a member of our Social Studies Department. Mr. Ziebarth is married to Colleen. He has 3 stepchildren and 3 granddaughters. Mr. Ziebarth graduated from LeSueur High School. He attended Gustavus and graduated with 2 majors, Social Studies and History. He has a master's in Educational Technology from the University of St. Thomas. Mr. Ziebarth taught in Lansing, Michigan for 2 years. He started at the Academy in 1980 and is in his 32nd year in our Social Studies Department. He has taught 8th grade Social Studies, plus World History, U.S. History, Economics, Government, and Psychology. This year, Mr. Ziebarth is teaching World History, U.S. History, and Psychology. As all of us know, Mr. Ziebarth works extensively with young men outside of the classroom as well. He has coached soccer, track, baseball, and football. This is his 8th year as STA's head football coach. One of the things I learned very quickly about Mr. Ziebarth is that he has very high academic expectations of his students. He fully supports the work in the classroom that comes before work on the field. From many senior speeches, it is clear the influence that Mr. Ziebarth has had on our students in helping them become respectful and responsible young men. In addition to enjoying hunting and fishing, something that you might not know about Mr. Ziebarth is that he does a lot of gardening. Flowers are his thing. We are very proud of him and happy that he's a member of our teaching staff. Please help me welcome Mr. Dave Ziebarth.
Thank you. Mr. Giroux, remember you're going to use the skinny lens when I'm up here? Okay, thank you. I'm sure all of you noticed that very emotional moment when Mr. Schoberg and Tom Schoberg met there, and I have a tear in my eye right now from the power of that, so. Administrators, fellow teachers, parents, and family members, welcome. Eagle Award winners, a special welcome to you and congratulations for your great accomplishment. The award you have is a symbol of your hard work and dedication. When I was asked to speak tonight, I gave a lot of thought to the topic. And I'm sure most, if not all of you, are more worried about how long I'm going to speak than what I'm going to talk about. I'll do my best to keep it short and hopefully somewhat meaningful. And I'm especially addressing this to the students. Students, during your time here, you all have or will read and discuss the Odyssey, Homer's great epic poem of the Greek hero Odysseus and his challenges on his long journey home from the Trojan War. Homer used his story to emphasize the qualities of character that the Greeks admired and strove for: courage, moral strength, cleverness, intelligence, and loyalty. But he also gave Odysseus characteristics which harmed him, his family, and his men: stubbornness, vanity, selfishness, and the worst one to the Greeks, hubris, extreme pride and arrogance. Tonight I'm going to play Homer a little bit, and I'm going to share an epic story of my own, a story that demonstrates qualities we all should seek to emulate, and unfortunately for me, qualities which were harmful and painful to others. When I was a freshman in high school, I came to know a girl in my science class. Her name was Debbie. Now, her name actually wasn't Debbie, but I've changed it to protect her a little bit. She was funny and she was smart, and I enjoyed talking to her and getting to know her. But in the spring of that year, she began to change. She became quiet and withdrawn. She was angry a lot of the time and seemed to be hanging around with the kids in school that everyone knew were making poor choices in their lives. I didn't reach out to her or say anything to her. I decided it wasn't any of my business, and I judged her harshly for her behavior. I made no attempt to find out what was wrong or if I could help her. By the fall of our sophomore year, Debbie seemed to be worse, and there were ugly rumors about her behavior. One day at lunch, I was sitting at a table with some junior and senior boys, and they were talking about a party they had been at the previous Saturday. They began talking about Debbie and her behavior at the party. They told everyone who would listen that she had been drinking a lot, and then she had made other choices that night that were not very good. These were older boys who I looked up to, and I chose to believe what they had said. I wanted to be included in their group in the worst way. and I felt that being accepted in their group was more important than the feelings or reputation of a young woman that I knew. Worse than that, I shut Debbie out of my life. I didn't talk to her. I thought she was beneath me and was not somebody I needed to value. A few weeks later, a good friend and I were talking right before we headed into choir practice, and he told me that he really liked Debbie and was going to ask her out on a date. I was taken back by this, and I told him what I had heard about her and that he should stay away from her. He looked at me for a minute, and then he quietly told me that he didn't care what anyone else was saying about her, that he thought she was nice and enjoyed being with her. And then he asked me two really powerful questions. Why would I care what those other guys thought? And why would I hurt her by spreading their stories? I remember being shocked and shamed by his response, as I am still today. My friend and Debbie did begin to date, and as the year went on, Debbie began to lose her anger and haunted look. And the woman that I knew, the young girl that I knew as a freshman, began to reemerge. She was laughing, relaxed, and happy again. At the end of our sophomore year, I found out what really was going on with her. Her father was an alcoholic, and his drinking had caused huge problems at home for a very long time, and that her mother and father were in the process of a divorce. During our junior year, my friend and Debbie broke up, but they remained friends, and Debbie continued to heal. I continued to be ashamed of my cowardice and my meanness. When we were seniors, our class chose Debbie to give one of the commencement speeches, and her speech was funny, moving, and powerful. She had become a young woman of grace and courage, and finally I found the courage to talk to her about what had happened when we were freshmen and sophomores and what I had said about her. She listened to me and then told me the truth about that party. She had known all along what those other boys were saying about her when we were sophomores, and she told me it was all a lie. She never had anything to drink at the party, and when one of them had made advances at her, she had turned them down, and out of spite, they had spread these horrible rumors about her, and I did also. She told me that my friend's relationship with her at that time gave her a safe place, a place to heal and just be herself. She said that he never made any demands of her. He was just there for her. He could see what I had closed my mind and heart to, the real person inside of her, not the shell she had grown to protect herself. He was exactly what she needed at that time. His kindness and courage, his refusal to listen to what others were saying, especially me, helped save her. Then she surprised me by telling me something. She said that he had saved me also, that his friendship with me had moved me to be kinder, more generous, and open with people, and I realized that she was right. I realized how my behavior had caused pain for someone who was really hurting, who needed my friendship and support, but whom I had turned my back on. My hubris had caused harm to someone who needed help. The amazing thing about my friend is that he never thought of his actions as anything special, and he still wouldn't today if you asked him about it. He simply liked and cared about her and acted on that, even though others discouraged him. His kindness and gentleness allowed him to be there for someone who needed him, and he has lived his entire life like that. I had a chance to help her hurt, and I hurt somebody. He had the exact same chance, but he chose to help her. His actions helped heal her. In late June of 1993, Mr. Schoberg's mother died suddenly. Her funeral was going to be at 10 a.m. up in Tower, Minnesota, which is it's over 4 hours from here. My high school friend called me and said we were going. He would pick me up at 4 a.m. I didn't hesitate. I was ready. I'd learned a little bit. We went to help and support somebody we cared about. Then on a Sunday morning in October of 1997, my own mother died suddenly and unexpectedly. The shock and pain was tremendous, and those of us who lost our parents know that never goes away. And just talking about it now brings it back again. My parents live in a small town about an hour south of here. I was the first one of my siblings to get to my father's house, and I went in the front door, he was waiting, and I went up the stairs and hugged him. And when I turned to my left, they were my friend's parents. And I went over and thanked them, and they said, "We knew your dad was alone, and he needed somebody to be with him until you guys got here. We came to help," just like their son always does. Later that Sunday afternoon, my siblings and I were with my dad making the arrangements for the funeral, and there was a knock on my parents' door, and there was my friend. He'd gotten in his car and drove an hour. We spent 10 minutes sitting on my parents' front step, and then he left. And his kindness helped to heal me a little bit that day. He did what his parents always have done. He helped somebody. I've learned a lot from my friends. Some of you already know who that man is. He's sitting back there. His name is Mr. Tom Weber. He and I have been friends our entire life. And many of you have been helped by him. You have experienced his kindness, gentleness, and warmth. He's made many of our days and lives brighter and better. All of you will have many opportunities in your days here and during your life to heal or to harm, to help somebody. You will have chances to help or to hurt. I have had to fight all my life to choose the right path, to fight arrogance and pride. I hope you choose the path that my friend has chosen. There are students here every day that need help. They need a safe place to heal. They need a friend to offer a strong hand when they've been knocked down to help them back up. They need a strong shoulder to lean on. My challenge to you is to have the courage to help and to heal. The way of a coward is to hurt and to harm. I've walked both paths. The gentle and the kind path takes the greater courage, takes the stronger man. Why should you do this? Well, high on that wall, in the spotlight is the best reason, because we are called to. Jesus calls us to do this. In Matthew, it is told of his judgment of the nations. One group he invites into the kingdom of God, and he tells them, "When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was a stranger, you took me in. When I was sick, you visited me. When I was in prison, you came to me." And they're confused. And they say, "Lord, when did we do this? We never recognized you." His answer is simple. What you did for the least of them, you did for me. These are not extraordinary feats of bravery that he's talking about. These are ordinary, everyday things that we deal with all the time, and we have the opportunity to help. At the end, when he is being nailed to the cross, when Jesus' suffering is at the greatest, he speaks no words of hate or revenge. He shows us again the gentle and kind path. He calls out to his Father. He calls out to our Father, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." You are all smart and dedicated and disciplined. Can you be kind and gentle and brave enough to help and to heal? Can you seek to be good students and at the same time seek to be even better men? To work to be the type of men who will be great husbands and fathers, the type of men who understand that kindness, gentleness, and empathy are the qualities that bring us and others peace and joy. That these are the qualities that require great strength and great courage. Homer used this story to warn us of the dangers of hubris and warn us of the cost. He wanted the Greeks to walk a better path. Odysseus learned that lesson, as I did, after his actions harmed someone that he cared about or should have cared about. I believe you are strong enough to help and to heal. And if you are, you will grow to be extraordinary husbands and fathers. But you'll do this not by great feats of bravery, but by the everyday chances for kindness that are presented to all of us. You'll do this not with a closed fist shaken in anger, but with open arms reaching out to lend a gentle hand. Remember and take the words of our Lord. What you did for the least of them, you did for me. Good luck and good night.